Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email us Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. Today we have the Louis Erard Régulateur Massena Lab. So from a company that is traded heavily on upscale design and well-selected collaborations, this is the Louis Erard Régulateur, with customization by William Massena's Massena Lab brand. So Massena Lab, a US-based style house, is famous for injecting its own historically driven aesthetic sense into watches often made by well-known collaborators in the Swiss and global watch industry. And this is exactly what's happening here. Now, Louis Erard, a revived company in recent years under Manuel Emsch, who proved during his days at Romain Jerome and Jacques Hedreau he could get people excited about unique aesthetics. This watch is a fusion of his vision and also William Massena, who is a collector par excellence as well as an aesthete. The watch is large. It's not the first version of Le Régulateur, but it is perhaps the most expensive looking. In stainless steel, at 42 millimeters in diameter, it's thinner than you think. I measure it 12.5 millimeters thick and 49.2 millimeters from lug tip to lug tip, with a 22 millimeter spacing between the lugs. Now, it's a 178-piece limited edition that launched in 2022. So the watch on my wrist is modern in size, but roughly 18th century in aesthetic. Taking a quick look down the barrel of my wrist of 16 centimeters, this is a large watch lug to lug. At just over 49 millimeters, it's taken up all my wrist real estate. So while it's not necessarily going to get hung up on a cuff, it's actually thin and fairly well sloped for a dress sleeve. I think you need a wrist of my size or larger. William is much larger than I am in wrist circumference, and so he can wear this a bit better. But your wrist needs to be my size or larger to wear this watch effectively. I think if the lugs are out over the edge of your wrist, it's just too big for you. We have a lovely sort of distressed grain to this calfskin strap, and you can see we've got a really thick strap, super thick layers of leather. You can see the shear cut revealing that, and then lacquering on the side to add refinement. We have a monotone binding stitch in black, and then all the way down you can see it is a bonded strap, so there's no stitching here to keep it seamless in its appearance. Taking a look, you can see we have leather in blue on the bottom, in black on the top, and it is a Louis Erard factory strap. We have a buckle in stainless steel. It's less interesting, but for a dress watch, it's appropriate. The lugs are nicely broken out from the case band, and that gives the watch a little bit more of a vintage look. Of course, if 18th century is the aesthetic, there were no wrist watches in the 18th century. Most of that is confined to the actual design of the dial, but in keeping with the historical theme, we have an unbranded crown, as historically crowns would not have been branded. The dial features a lovely industrial applied chiseling and then a yellow gold garnishing. It's a plating effect. Honestly, it seems a little bit like a junior F.P. Journe. And that's not altogether unfounded as an approximation, given that F.P. Journe and Massena are probably drawing from the same design vernacular, from the same mutually admired era of watchmaking. It is a regulator, which means you have separate scales for your hours, your minutes, and your seconds. And being a Sellita base, it does feature a hacking seconds function, so you can stop the seconds hand and set it to a reference time. I'll also say that considering Sellita and ETA base movements are often taken for granted because they're so common, there is very little dead angle in this crown. Almost as soon as I start to turn it, the hand starts to move. It's very precise and positive. And also, when withdrawn, the crown is very solid. It doesn't want to wobble. Two refinements I always look for in a watch, regardless of price. Now, you can see the dial has excellent depth. We have foy or leaf-style hands in blue, and then under that, we have sub-registers that stand proud of the dial, along with a track that's sectored outboard, allowing you to read the minutes individually. And you can see that all of these are satinated, with the registers themselves having a very fine media blasted texture on their centers. Taking a look at the edge of these little flanged applique to the dial, or maybe they're raised and relieved from the dial base, you can see that they've been beveled on their sides as well as their interior faces. There's a lot of fine detailing here, even if the watch was intended to be relatively affordable. So on the reverse side, you can see that the Salida 266 is very similar to a ETA 2824. Those reversing wheels are unmistakable. Also, if you've ever taken one of these apart, you know how wicked the spring adjacent to the click can be on any 2824 architecture. But it is a tough and reliable movement, bidirectional automatic winding with a 4 Hz beat rate, stop seconds, and a 38-hour power reserve. In this application, it has 50 meters of water resistance, which is a bit more than the dress watch standard of 30. So hey, more is always better. I still wouldn't recommend that you necessarily go swimming with this, but you've got 38 hours of power reserve, super precise setting, a rugged tractor-style caliber, and a watch that, from a distance, could practically be an F. Pigeon. So if you like this aesthetic, game on. The value equation is excellent. Reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.